All right, guys, how's it going? This is Accessible Linux Gaming. Let's talk about some GPU rumors. Back on the GPU rumor cycle again. Y'all know how it is. Y'all know how it is. Moore's Law is dead. He put out a video a little bit ago, a couple days ago, maybe a week or so ago. I don't know. I saw it a few days ago about RDNA4 and how that stacks up against next gen's lineup as well as the current gen, right? And basically, what he's saying that the leaks suggest is that RDNA4 isn't going to go after NVIDIA's high end. We're just going to try to stick at the mid-high end and sort of bring the current cost of the high end down to like mid-range prices. And there's some media outlets that are kind of excited about this, and there's a lot of media outlets that are kind of poo-pooing on AMD for doing this. So I don't think it's actually that bad of a thing, and we're going to talk about that for 10 minutes if I can get through this rant video. So let's go ahead. I got an article here from PC Gamer, right? It says if RDNA4 is going to be nothing more than a process-scaled RDNA3, i.e. essentially the same tech, just clocked higher, then there's not going to be much on offer to tempt PC gamers to upgrade. On the other hand, if the new architecture supports dedicated hardware for doing matrix calculations, which could be used for AI-based upscaling like DLSS super resolution, and specialized units for BVH transversals and ray tracing, then we could have a seriously good graphics card waiting just around the corner. Okay, so I don't think this take is completely unreasonable. I think it's fairly obvious that ray tracing and AI-based upscaling is going to be a thing, and how we render graphics now for ever. It's a thing, right? I will say this. It seems like a lot of media outlets have sort of fallen into this trap where we are constantly looking at what AMD is doing and looking at it through this sort of tinted lens that's in relation to what NVIDIA is telling us is important, right? And NVIDIA is really, really good at setting the conversation around their products and around their releases. So let's wind back in time here, right? We had Turing that came out, and there was all this hubbub about ray tracing and how it was going to change games, and you needed to get the new cards to see this amazing new lighting effect, right? They had a DLSS super sampling, you could get better anti-aliasing and a good frame rate boost. You needed these new cards to get this new feature. Well, it turns out the cards that they sold you weren't fast enough to do the things that they were selling you on, right? And isn't that a bear? That's not a fun way to go, right? And DLSS, the original implementation, it didn't look so good. Okay, so we had Ampere that came out. Oh man, the Ampere launch was super exciting. All the Pascal people were freaking out, super excited. I was one of them. Finally, we've got cards that are fast enough to utilize the features that they sold us the last time around, if not, but barely, right? So we all know how the Ampere launch went. I think like Ampere as a whole is a really good family of graphics cards. There's nothing really to hate about Ampere, except for the situation regarding the global shortage and mining that happened around that time, right? So we all got super pumped about Ampere. The supply was limited by industry factors and external factors related to the global pandemic, and people got super hyped and saved their money and spent $1,600 on an RTX 3080, right? I didn't spend quite that much, but I spent more than I should have. Okay, so finally we get to use the feature that they sold us on. Now they release RTX 4000. They release Lovelace, right? Comes around, they've got this new feature that the old cards can't use, and you'll be able to boost your already acceptable frame rates to insane frame rates with this AI generative frame rate tech, right? That's kind of exciting. If you're on RTX 3000 or older, forget about it. You ain't getting it. You got to buy the new cards. What I'm trying to get at here is that NVIDIA is very good about drumming up hype and introducing features that this is what they do. They give you a little carrot and they get you excited, and then they take it away, so you got to buy the new thing. They give you a carrot, they get you a little excited, and then they take it away, so you got to buy the new thing. Pay careful attention to how NVIDIA does this, right? So there's also been sort of the controversy. This is a really hot take right now in the media about 8 gigabytes of VRAM, 10 gigabytes of VRAM, 12 gigabytes of VRAM cards that, we're quickly becoming VRAM limited on titles, right? And I'm not saying that this is an NVIDIA controversy, or maybe I am, but I'm saying that they position their cards in such a way that by the end of the release cycle, you are sort of in a position where you might be better off buying a new card, right? Because they're so stingy about their VRAM. They know what game developers are doing. They know what game engines are doing. They've got engineers that look at this kind of stuff. They know what consoles are doing. You don't think that they're trying to get you into buying a new card the next time around? Of course they are. Of course they are. That's how they do, okay? So just be careful about the NVIDIA Kool-Aid, all right? I'm an NVIDIA user. I'm a Linux user who runs NVIDIA. So, like, if I didn't like NVIDIA, I wouldn't be dealing with the pain that I'm dealing with every day running Linux on NVIDIA, okay? So I'm not a fanboy. I'm just telling you, after years of giving NVIDIA my money, it's just some things that they do that you got to be aware of, right? So let's get back to the current gen cards, last gen cards, and what the upgrade path is like in general, right? If you are someone like me, if you are on a 3080 or you have a 6800 XT or perhaps a 6900 XT, if you look at the current lineup of cards, depending on what your needs are, if you're at that already sort of last gen high performance bracket, there's not a lot there that's compelling. For me, for instance, I got a 3080. Well, if I want to jump ship and go over to AMD, there's really only one option that I think makes sense for me. That's a 7900 XTX, right? I get a hell of a lot better rasterization performance than I'm currently getting. And as far as ray tracing performance goes, I might be sort of at the same place where I'm at now, maybe slightly better off, maybe slightly worse off, depending on the title. But if I'm looking to get that holistic performance increase, if ray tracing is important to me, you know, the 7900 XTX may or may not be it. I really want to like that card, and I do like that card, and I really want to buy that card, but it's an expensive upgrade for what kind of amounts to a side grade for me, because honestly, with a 3080 or better, you're not hurting that bad in rasterized games, so long as you actually have enough VRAM. And for right now, 12 gigabytes of VRAM is doing it. If you're on a 3080 10 gig, yeah, that might become an issue in a year or two. I could understand you wanting the upgrade in that case, but if you're on a 3080 12 gig or a 3080 Ti, it's just not really a strong reason to do that. So that where does that leave us, right? We go 4080. Well, a 4080 is a hell of a lot faster, but it's also, you know, it was $1,200. Now they rolled it back to $900. We're almost at the end of a release cycle, guys. We got GPUs maybe coming next year. You know, why are you going to go out and spend $1,000 on a card that, you know, 4080 is a great card, but it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to go out right now and buy one if new things are coming around the corner that might come in at a lower price point, or maybe they'll cut prices a little bit more. It's just not, it's not tempting me. You know what I mean? It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. 4090. Accessible Linux Gaming isn't broke, okay? Accessible Linux Gaming can go into a 4090 store and pull one off the shelf and not even pay anything at the store and go ahead and walk home with it, all right? But I think that $1,600 is a hell of a lot of money to spend on a GPU. And I think the market tends to agree with me. You've got the people out there that are going to buy that $1,600 GPU no matter what NVIDIA puts out because they want the best. And guess what? If those people ain't buying that $1,600 GPU, what NVIDIA is going to do, they're going to repackage that card. They're going to ship it on another, they're going to call it something else and enable a bunch of virtualization features on it, and then ship it to the data center and charge those people $4,000 for the same card. NVIDIA doesn't care. they're gonna sell their GPUs no matter what. They're not worried about you as a gamer getting a good deal, because they can sell the same thing in the data center space and make a hell of a lot more money and sell a hell of a lot more of them, right? And they can also keep that supply chain allocation low and still make their ka-ching-ching, right? It's a hard game, ladies and gentlemen. It's a hard game, right? Don't buy the Kool-Aid that much. If AMD can come out, put out a card, maybe the rasterization performance is slightly better than a 4080. They've already got one of those. That's a 7900 XTX. Maybe they can put out a card that's got slightly better rasterization performance, and maybe the ray tracing performance isn't quite as good as a 4080, but it's close. I think that's a card worth getting excited about, especially if they can sell it to you for $500-$600. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. So if they're targeting the 4060 Ti and 4080 next gen, and they come in aggressive, I think that that's going to be exciting to a lot of people. Now, we'll see where the mid-range goes for NVIDIA's next gen, where the 5070 ends up or where the 5060 Ti ends up. But if you're counting on them cards being cheaper than they are now, you know, in respect to the current gen being significantly more expensive than the last gen, I think you're drinking the NVIDIA Kool-Aid. I wouldn't hold my breath on that. I think Jensen himself has said that cards are going to get more expensive. Our cost is going up. Our research and development cost is going up. Continuously putting out these hella fast GPUs, that takes a lot of R&D. That ain't cheap to do, and they're going to charge you. We also have some allocation issues at TSMC just in general, and that space for inventory is getting more and more competitive. And you know, these fabs are going to try to get what money they can out of their clients. So bear that in mind. If you think that NVIDIA is going to be the angel next time around and give you a good deal, you got another thing coming, right? So yeah, let's get excited about some competition in the marketplace. Let's not get so sidetracked by needing the fastest thing ever that we look a gift horse in the mouth, right? So yeah, just bear that in mind. Also, AMD is no slouch, right? Part of my concern with switching over to AMD was honestly OBS and AMD a couple years ago was kind of jank on Linux. Yeah, it's just kind of weird. I know that all my content creation tools work on NVIDIA, even if my desktop experience on Xorg isn't all that great. Hope Wayland gets better soon, but I know all my productivity and media creation tools work on NVIDIA. Apparently that's gotten a hell of a lot better on AMD to where I'm feeling more confident making the switch. Also, AMD, their Adrenaline software, if you've not checked out their control panel on Windows, it's actually pretty damn sweet. They've come a long way with their drivers. I've actually been impressed with AMD software for quite a number of years now. I think they actually do offer a better desktop toolset experience than what GeForce Experience and the NVIDIA control panel offers by a long mile. They've also come out with FSR3 is sort of becoming a thing. Apparently they have this thing called AMFF, something like that. AMD Fluid Motion Frames, where you can enable FSR3 or some sort of temporal AI generative upscaling at the driver level, which sort of allows you to apply it to any game. This isn't perfect yet, right? But the fact is like this tech's out in the wild and it's going to get better. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully they deliver. I'm super excited. You guys have a good one. This was a rant video. All right, let me know what you think about the 7900 XTX. Let me know what you think about the next series of AMD cards. Let me know what you think about the current upgrade situation. All right, you guys have a good one. Later.